Well, I will go ahead and get started. My name is Amanda Stirn. I am a business consultant for the Florida Small Business Development Center at FGCU. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today for our live webinar on the 5 tips of things to do now, which is ballooned into about 10 things to do right now, as many of you can imagine. We've been doing these webinars with some great success. And what I was talking to LaShawn, she's our marketing director, is I like the fact that we're still able to have these social interactions and reach our people that we're working with. And I just can't thank you all for being able to attend so we can have some interaction later on. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go through some general tips and some things that we've discovered in our research that will hopefully help you and your business during this time. And as we move along, there's a chat room. There's a chat button toward the bottom middle part of the screen. If you click on that, it opens up a chat room and you can put your questions in there. And then at the end, when I wrap up, start getting toward the end, LaShawn's going to help moderate and I will address those questions that are in the chat room and try to come up with some answers for you. So we have 15 people in the room and I'm going to go ahead and roll forward. Again, there's no presentation that I'm going to do. This is going to be like one-on-one. I'm talking to you and we're going to react. And I'm also going to send out a resource guide later on today with some links and some tools and stuff that I hope will help you in your business. So we wanted to do a bird's eye view of a quick list of things. We started on this a week ago, and the first thing that came to mind, if you are a business owner, you should have business insurance, and you need to call, if you haven't already called, you need to call your insurance now to see what kind of coverages you have. I don't speak to the insurance language. I'm not an insurance agent, but you need to see what type of coverage you have. And the reason why this is really important, this isn't obvious. We have many folks, and we're encouraging people right now to go out and apply for the bridge loan that's we've been helping people with now for the last week, and also their SBA disaster loan. Knowing how much insurance coverage you have, if any, will help negotiate some of that debt that you will have to encumber in order to get through this period. And it's not like that for everyone, but that's one key reason to ask for your insurance. But you need to make sure you have something to continue your business with, and that's the reason why we have insurance. So do call your insurance agent to see what your coverages are for your economic losses. So now we have free time. I wanted to address this. This is a great opportunity. Everybody has a little bit of free time because some of us we've slowed down. This is a great time to get your financial affairs in order. And specifically, I say this because over the course of the past week, the whole state of Florida, all the FSBDCs have been working with people to put together bridge loan packets that go up to $50,000 and then the subsequent SBA disaster loans. What do you need with that information? You need tax returns. You need to have some interim profit and loss statements so you can show where your losses are at. So this is a great time to sit down and get your affairs in order, work with your bookkeeper and your CPA. It's also a good time to look around at your operations and see if there's some stuff that maybe you could do differently. Maybe you had an idea that you've put aside and you've been too busy to get to it. But this is a good time to think about things that you can do within your organization. It doesn't matter if you're hospitality, trades, or service, construction, doesn't matter. This is a great time to think, this is almost like restarting. If I could restart again, how could I do it better? A good time to do some competitive analysis because everybody realizes when this fog is lifted, businesses are going to open right back up. This is not like a hurricane where, and all of us in Florida, we know how this works. You have the event, you know how long it lasts, and it's over. And then we have the cleanup. The problem is we have structural damage. This is nothing like this. Everybody is self-isolating. Businesses have temporarily shut down operations or lowered their operations. So keep this in mind. There's free time. Think about, I can look at my competitors. You can start thinking about how you're going to do your grand reopening. So start putting some of these things to mind. And I say this because we're trying to keep everybody uplifted during this time. We have to stay positive. We're moving full ahead. You know, Florida's strong, USA strong, and it's been amazing to see how many businesses and individuals are coming together during this. So moving on, excuse me. So speaking of the bridge loan, the DEO bridge loan is a loan that is for up to $50,000 for 1 year. And it needs to be paid back. We are taking applications and that information is available on our website. If you sign, where you signed up for service for this webinar, same website, front page. Go ahead and get your application in. There are a ton of applications already in the system, and you know how this is going to work. First come, first serve, those applications are in. We can assist with that. You can try it on your own. We do have a list and a guide. We are asking people to work with us and do a Zoom meeting, and we can actually work with you one-on-one live for both the DEO bridge loan application, and also you're going to need to apply for SBA disaster relief as well, and we can help you with that loan package. Again, this goes back to making sure your financials are in order, your profit, your loss, your tax returns, etc. So this is another one that came up, as there are some places that are still open, but you're not at full capacity. So you're not really operating at your break-even point, and then you're still having some debt that might be coming in. This is an excellent time to reach out to your vendors and your lenders and ask them if there is some relief that they can give for you during this time, because they are in the same boat you are in. Ask them if you could get extended terms. Maybe if you've got net 30, ask them if they could extend net 60 or net 45. Anything you can do to push some of those payments down the line is going to help you so that you can keep your cash in hand. Do not deplete your cash. And I'm going to get to that right now. For those of you that might be in like construction industry, hospitality trade, this goes without saying, everybody has, that's already pretty much, shop has been shut down for the most part, is making sure, and this is because we don't have the stimulus package. I would have a different tip for you if we would have had our stimulus package. But if you don't have the staff, if you don't have the revenue to denote keeping the staff, it's not just furloughing the staff and sending them down to unemployment. It's making sure you communicate with your employees your plan. Everybody's going to need to come back to work, and you're going to want those employees to come back. Make sure you say, we've got a plan. Maybe depends on your industry. Maybe you have a step back into work plan, and you have people that know this is how we're going to gradually step people back in. Try to come up with some type of a short-term plan, something that can be easily translated to your employees to show you care, you're going to bring them back. But everybody knows this isn't your fault. This isn't our fault. This is something unlike we have ever seen ever. But this is a good way to help your employees. Another thing that goes with that, anybody that knows somebody who owns a restaurant, or some of you are restaurant owners, if you're going to be pulling down operations, and I think some of you have done this, but one of the good things to do would be any food that you have left is being able to disperse that to your employees before they leave, because they've got to go home and feed their families. And hospitality trades is one of the hardest industries we have right now. They already make low wages as it is, so imagine no wage. Okay, sorry, I do have a list here. Oh, anybody that has a retail spot that's not online, you might want to consider doing virtual tours. If you have a product that you would like to showcase, this is the time to get, in front of your audience. There's so many different platforms. You could use Instagram, you could do some Facebook Lives and do a showcase. And what I'm talking about, and I know some of you have seen this, if you Google a restaurant or any place of business, a lot of them have the tour, the 360 tour. Think of doing some stuff like that, but live. One good example, and I'm just going to speak because I actually saw it and it was actually really good. And this is a business that's in another state. So you have to think about this. If you can do some stuff where you can sell outside of just your little retail spot that we might have here in Florida, is doing some virtual tours and maybe trying to get some business from the outside. But the girl I had seen, she had showcased some beautiful jewelry, and she sat down and she had it perfectly mapped out. She drew out what she was going to do. So she didn't just mamby-pamby throw it together. She actually had it staged very well. And it was great. She talked about these like 5 items that she said, these are up for sale, contact us. And she talked about them. And so she was able to have a conversation. Same is true for the service industry. So now that we have the 14-day or the 15-day where we're trying to self-isolate for the most part, and then all of our social distancing, first thing I thought of was attorneys. You can keep going. If you want to have a conversation, you could start working with your clients one-on-one through, what we're doing right now, use a tool like Zoom. So start thinking a little bit outside of the box of some things that you could do to expand, your services. Again, everybody's already doing what was going to be part of this program, because I had wrote down last Friday, curbside and delivery, and actually that's already been enforced. So I'm not going to go down that bunny trail. We've talked about this. Again, remembering that this is a temporary disruption and we are trying to get through it. And we will have more information once the stimulus bill is released. And I talked to LaShawn about possibly hosting a webinar on that. We have an expert so we can break that down for small business owners, because it's very, very, very complicated. I did actually make an attempt to read it and my eyes went cross-eyed. So another thing too is just expecting delays in services and being prepared for it, because the other piece of this is here we are, the consumers. Some of you are on the supply chain and you're waiting for goods and services. It's just making sure you stay in contact with those folks so that you can plan logistics. If you have a store or you have anything coming in, maybe you do drop shipping from your home. I'm thinking of all these different circumstances that have hit within the last, week or so. Excuse me, a little bit of allergies. Everybody's got allergies. This is not the corona cough, sorry. So I think I do want to open it up to questions right now, because I think all of you are going to have unique questions, and I'm not sure how the chat room is doing. I'm going to open this up. Everybody bear with me a little bit. So now everybody, I've mentioned a couple of things. If somebody like to put in some chat, some general questions, concerns, something that I haven't hit on. Maybe you've already went and talked to your insurance company and you found out you didn't have any coverage. What are your next steps? Please let me know. We wanted to keep this very open, because we know people, we go out and we research this information, but for those of you that are in the room right now, you have situations that are going to be specific to you that maybe you want to ask, or maybe you've tried something, you said this worked, but it didn't work. Is there any show of hands?
Yes, we have a question in the chat. Person has a new business, 15 months in Florida loan and SBA loan, are asking for 2 years of tax returns. What if you only have a potential for 1 year and you are on extension?
That's fine. It's fine to have the 1 year tax return, and what we will do is we would write inside of that, they want to ask why you don't have it, because you haven't filed it yet, you don't have it ready to go, that's fine. So your 1 year tax return, 2 year personal returns, which you should have. As long as you have those, you should be fine. So don't let that stop you for applying for the loan.
All right. Any other questions? Please put them in the chat.
If I don't get some questions, I'm going to start singing. Oh, virtual tours. I do want to go back. I do have something interesting, and this is information that you can share with others, is virtual tours of any, and this, I give this information out. It may not be specific for you, but you might know somebody who has a business that this might pertain to. Virtual tours are really cool. This could even apply to people that are out doing fishing charters. You can't go fishing, but if you do fishing charters, but nobody's showing up, maybe you offer them a virtual tour. You take them out, you get your GoCam, you just do it. You do an inexpensive, even at this point, do a freebie just for the, just for the coverage, things like that. Museums are already doing this. This started this, I think, last week. A lot of the main museums have virtual tours, and some of them have live virtual tours. That can apply for anything that is brick and mortar, where you want to showcase your business and reach people that are no longer coming in, coming in the doors.
We've got a question from our friend Dana.
Dana!
This is a good time to get some employees into online training class to strengthen their skills. And training money may also be available through CareerSource. And a request, don't sing.
Thanks, Dana. Dana has a good point. Yes, this is an excellent time to get resources to your employees, to get them additional training. And this can be in any career field. Doesn't matter if it's food services, it doesn't matter if it's construction. This is just a great time to help them with their skills. Specifically those that maybe don't have maybe the tech skills, and maybe you're thinking in your brain after this is over, you're going to expand your business, but you're going to need some tech help. Look at your employees and say, hey, we got some free training. This is going to be great. That's an excellent idea, Dana. Thank you. Good point. Yes, find training for the employees for sure.
Michelle is saying the government loan is very complicated and time-consuming. She spent all day yesterday and is only halfway through. Will it allow her to go back and revise at the end? She's knocked out due to overload several times as well. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a complicated. The SBA loan, the actual disaster loan, is a little bit more of a complicated package, and that one is the grand kahuna. That's the big loan that's up to $2 million, whereas the bridge loan is not as complicated. So I'm assuming you're talking about the SBA loan. You should have received a login. You should be able to go back in and update the application. And if you run into issues, what I encourage you to do is reach out to us and try to get an appointment, and we'll actually virtually go through the application with you to help you get through some of those steps. So you're not alone in it. That's why we keep asking people, please reach out to us, because it doesn't cost you anything to give us a call, and we're here to help. This is what we're here to do. So if you keep running into issues and you're just like beating your head against the wall, do reach out to us, and we will actually do a one-on-one virtual application. We'll have to fill out the application online together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bonnie is wondering about timeframes. They've applied for the emergency bridge loan and the SBA loan and wondering how long it's going to take to hear something back.
Okay, the bridge loan, I can only speak historically of what we went through when we had Irma. And again, that's a completely different event. With Irma, I'd heard it was up to about 2 weeks for funding for the bridge loan and up to 6 months for the SBA disaster loan. Do not panic when I say that. What we are hoping it is not going to be as long, because this is a national disaster event, is hopefully that money will not be clogged up for so long. We really don't know, but I heard 6 months with Irma for some people waiting for the loan to come through. That's why the bridge loan exists, because that's a little bit of cash that's faster. Just that, hopefully that makes sense. If not, let me know. You can put another question in the chat.
All right. Craig is saying the SBA loan app appears to be fully online with no download of a PDF. Will the requirements and questions be basically the same as the Florida loan?
Actually, the SBA loan is more complicated than the bridge loan. I don't know if that answers your question. The bridge loan has less components to it. It's a much more simplified application to fill out. It's not quite what we would call a low doc loan, but it's pretty close to it. So make sure I'm reading this correctly. And you can download the PDF for the bridge loan. But I mean, you can fill it out if you just want to make sure that you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's, but virtually everything is online right now. The reason why everything is online, everything has been forced into a portal, is time. Whenever we do something manually, we've created another touch point that might have 5 touch points to it. And we've got to get people up in the system. And so the only way to do that is people have got to get the information in online and get it uploaded. If we were to do, I'll give you an example, and this is why people make sure you get your loans in. So this is a number I'll share. I've heard that we've had up to 6,000 applications already that came through. So can you imagine if it was just everybody was doing that manually on paper? It would be impossible to do. So this is why we have those online systems, so the data gets into the system right away. And it also, the reason why the online applications are so important is we put in safety nets in there to make sure that no questions are missed and everything is answered and the application is complete at the time that it's sent in. Hopefully that answered your question. Thank you. Good question.
Mm-hmm. Thumbs up. Sunny just opened an e-commerce in January selling wheelchairs, wondering if they qualify for the loan.
If you do not have any employees, no. The bridge loan is very, very specific. You need to have at least 2 employees, or you have to have at least 2 1099 contractors. That's one of the biggest issues people are having a hard time with right now. It's also the reason why this stimulus package is so, so, so important for individuals who are just 1040 one-person shops. You guys need to check in the mail. We understand that. And I really wish we would have had news on the stimulus this morning. So I'm sorry, but if you have at least 2 employees though, we can check into it. But the problem is you're not going to have the tax returns. You're not going to have the financial. It would be really hard to do. So my immediate response is going to be no on that.
Right. Neil, who is also one of our consultants in the CPA, said that the IRS wants to let everyone know the IRS is reimbursing employers 100% if employees are sent home due to the virus issue for 14 days.
Neil, would you like to speak on that? Because people are asking me questions on that, and I'm not connected with the IRS like you are. Unmute yourself so we can hear.
There. I've unmuted you, Neil.
Okay.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of new tax rules that have been thrown out there, and I'll be talking about these on the 30th of March, because I'll be doing a presentation also with the SBDC. But what has happened is that everybody that has employees has to take out employment taxes out of the employee's paycheck, which includes federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare. And keep in mind that the employer matches the Social Security and Medicare. Everybody on board with that? These taxes are sent in to the IRS on a 941 every quarter. If you had to send an employee home due to the virus because they had to take care of a child who's at home because there's no school, or because they had the virus, or because a loved one had the virus, um, uh, the IRS is going to allow you to pay that employee their full salary for those 2 weeks and deduct on the 941 how much you paid those employees from what you send in to the IRS on the 941. So they're giving you 100% of that money back through the deductions that were taken out of the check. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you paid $2,000 to an employee in 2 weeks to go home. If in fact you did, then when you fill out your 941 on April 1st, you will subtract what you owe the government in withheld taxes, $2,000. So they're giving up those taxes that you were supposed to send to them. They're allowing you to keep to cover the cost of that employee being at home and you keeping them on the payroll.
Okay. Thank you for that, Neil.
Yes, thank you, Neil. Appreciate that. I knew we were going to get some different questions. That's why I left enough time. So do you want to go to the next one, LaShawn?
Yeah, so Lorena is saying, any ideas for the roofing and construction industries that are still operational but just not at 100%? Also, what is the plan that assists paying for part-time payroll while an employer pays the other half?
Okay, I think Neil touched on answering half of that question for us. Mm-hmm. As far as an idea for the roof, any type of construction trade industry, and this applies to pretty much all industries, is if you have the opportunity to sit down and look at your schedule of your projects and the work you have on the table, is maybe running split shifts with your employees. So maybe you go down to everybody does a 3-day, or maybe you have enough work where you could actually keep going for 7 days, and maybe you divide your crew up with shorter days so that you can expand it out. That's the one idea I have. But if you don't have the projects on the books, I mean, you can go with Neil and you can keep them on the books, but I mean, you're sending them home because there's no cash if you get into that situation. So my advice for right now is just do like a step program and maybe try to stretch out your crew. And actually, when you think about it, that would be a great thing to do, because everybody, instead of one person having to leave and other people trying to stay, everybody's evenly sharing that piece of pie. I remember seeing this back in 2002. We had a couple of hiccups in the tech market. This is when I lived up in Spokane. And what we did is we just put everybody on a reduced payroll. And we did that for almost 6 months while we got through that tech crisis. And that really did help. So there's at least one idea, is just shifting your schedules just a little bit so everybody has a little bit of work to do.
We've got a question here that says they submitted their bridge loan package last week, and they required them to mail in their last 2 years of personal and professional tax returns. Is that something that needs to be addressed separately?
Yeah, it does. That's going to be a separate question. We'll have to get back to you. I have your information. Let me just write this down.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. I need to make a note, guys. I'll get back to you offline on this, because it's getting off into a little bit of a separate area.
Send her a message privately with your contact information.
Okay.
Craig is saying, yes, we are waiting for that stimulus package. However, without the package in front of us right now, do you have any ideas of what to expect?
I don't. And I've decided not to speak on the stimulus package because we don't know what the final stamp is going to look like. And I don't want to misstep and misspeak and it come back and bite me. So I encourage everybody to watch. The last I heard is they did come to some resolution at like 1:30 in the morning last night. And I don't know how far it went, but they're supposed to vote on it today. We are going to know more, I hope, by the end of the day. I'm sorry I can't give you more information. We all want to see it.
So Kim says, I opened my business at the end of last year. I'm an owner-operator with no employees except for herself, providing skin care services. Will she or will she not, based on the information we have, qualify for the bridge loan?
At this time, no. The requirement is at least 2 employees or at least 2 1099 contractors. I'm sorry. I know we hate telling people this. We want to say yes to everyone, but that's the requirement on for the loan. I'm really sorry, Kim.
Amanda,
Yeah,
they may qualify for the SBA disaster loan.
they can. We could try it. I mean,
Right.
yes.
So,
Neil is right.
and so we don't want to turn you off 100% because the SBA has a disaster loan out there at 3.75% interest for 30 years. So you certainly have another option, even though you don't qualify for this particular free interest loan.
Yeah, thank you for that, Neil. Yes, Neil has a point, and I mentioned that earlier. What we're doing right now is we are doing for the people that are going for the bridge loan. We've been doing the bridge loan application with them and following right back up with that, with helping them get through the actual SBA disaster loan process. And that is something that you can look at. I don't know what the time for funding is on it. I do not have access to that knowledge, but it is something that we could definitely explore.
Okay. We've got about, Bonnie has a question for Neil regarding the Families First Act. Bonnie, can I ask you to send a private message to Neil so he'll be able to address you fully and completely? All right.
Great.
We've got just about 4 more minutes left. Any other questions?
Any other questions? We'll be having more of these, just so everybody knows. It's just as we receive information and it comes to light that we need to get the information out to folks, we will start gradually doing a bit more of these.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mark is going to give one on Thursday, the 26th, about cybersecurity, setting up your home office, working remotely, which everyone could use right now. And Neil already discussed his next Tuesday on keeping your small business operational. So if you go to, and I'm going to write it here, and sign up for all of these no-cost webinars. You may do so. Yeah.
All right, and I just sent out a private message to those who are looking for additional information. And hopefully we'll see you all again when I'm going to join Mark when he does his webinar, and definitely with Neil. Neil, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
And we've got one more question from Michelle. She's wondering, what's the best way to ask the SBDC consultants for help?
If you're already registered with us, then you should have a consultant by now. If not, I'm going to email you how to get registered right now so we can get you some assistance. So bear with me just a second. And I'm going to grab that email.
That for everyone, so everyone could see it. It'll be great.
Okay, so here is for everyone. Okay, so there's our website. I just put it up in the chat room. On the front cover, there's 2 things. There's the register for consulting at the top right-hand side. Click on that button and get in our system so we can get you assigned to a consultant. And then the second piece of that is really that's it. Once you're in our system, we're going to be in contact with you. So that's the best place to start.
Okay, very good. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes,
again, we will have a replay available for you, and a resource guide will be sent to you from Amanda this afternoon.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again all for joining, and have a pleasant day. At least we have the sunshine to smile at.